This is Target Score Weekly with Joey Slattery and Taylor Allen. Welcome to, I guess, what is now season 2 of Target Score Weekly. Bit of an emergency podcast / season debut that we were planning for, but it came a little sooner than we thought with the signing of the reigning CEBL MVP Teddy Allen, who was back. The first signing of the Sea Bears, easily the most important, Taylor. And we know that throughout the offseason, we've seen the Sea Bears support. We've seen, the people wearing Sea Bears stuff. We've had the interactions online. It's never really gone away. And the biggest question all offseason was, is Teddy coming back? And now we have our answer. He's back, and it's a huge, huge piece of the puzzle for the Sea Bears.
The plan was, let's launch season 2 of Target Score. Just you and I. Let's just catch up, inform people where we've been these past couple of months. Yeah, just baby steps. But then when cousin Teddy, puts pen to paper, re-signs with the Sea Bears, that plan got thrown out the window. We had to dive right in. So maybe in the next episode we'll catch up a little more and see where we've been and what we've been doing and whatnot. But yeah, huge news. I mean, last season, Teddy raved about Winnipeg, right? It was obvious how much he enjoyed playing here, what it meant to his career. I mean, here was an expansion team, made him the face of it, made him the focal point of the offense, and he becomes MVP, the favorite athlete in the city, really, for the basketball community. So it's no surprise to see him come back, but you never know until a guy officially signs, or you never know what kind of opportunities a guy like Teddy, could have and whatnot. So, he said that in an interview with my colleague Mike Sawatsky at the Free Press that Puerto Rico could have been an option for him this summer, but I mean Winnipeg, like you told us, in this interview, just couldn't say no to coming back and keep building what they started last year. So very exciting news for the Sea Bears, and good week for Winnipeg sports fans. You get Brady Oliveira, Dalton Schoen re-signed with the Bombers, and now Teddy Buckets back with the Winnipeg Sea Bears. So Winnipeg sports fans have a lot to celebrate. All the stars are back.
All the stars are back in Winnipeg. We're going to hear from Teddy in just a bit, as well as head coach and general manager Mike Taylor about the news getting some reaction. And you hit the nail on the head there, Taylor. I mean, the Summer League, it has some of its challenges, right? I mean, right now as we speak, Teddy is in England playing in the British Basketball League. That season ends. If he were to go to the finals, he's done May 19th, and he's got to be back here. It doesn't have to be back here for the opener, but that would be the goal for sure. But it's a quick turnaround. Like, the season starts, I believe, May 21st for the CBL, May 22nd, I believe, for the Sea Bears. It starts off in Saskatoon against the Rattlers. But yeah, it's not easy. A lot of these guys want rest, and hearing now that Jelani, Watson, Gale, very likely not coming back. EJ Anasike, same deal. Even Jelani last year talking about how hard he found the transition at times because there was no rest period, right? He came from his British Basketball League season to Winnipeg. He joined the team late and he was an impact player, but then all of a sudden he's gone to, the BNXT League out in Belgium. So, that's a longer season too. That's going into June. So of course, the Sea Bears would love to have him back if he's willing to come back, but it's not looking likely right now. Also, breaking news on Target Score Weekly, hearing that Alex Campbell, CEBL veteran who played the last 3 seasons with the Vancouver Bandits, he's a champion with the Rattlers back in 2019. He's a assistant coach out at the University of Saskatchewan in the offseason. So, he's got some coaching there too. So a big veteran guy coming in. So the team's starting to take shape here, Taylor, but we know there's a lot of work to go here because consistency can be hard to maintain in this league.
Yeah, I mean, like you just said, like a league like this, doesn't matter what you did last year, there's still going to be change. And it's not because guys don't want to come back or whatnot. Just like guys need rest. Like you said, EJ, Jelani, those guys are going to be playing into June. The Sea Bears can't afford to wait around for those guys. And those guys probably want to take some time off this summer as well. So this team is going to look different, whether you want it to or not. I still think there will be a decent chunk of guys from last year still around, but I think the starting 5 though there's going to be some new faces for sure, which I think is actually kind of exciting. So as great as last year was, they were a smashing success, right? And made the playoffs and probably would have made it a little further, obviously, if EJ Anasike did not get called up to the Nigerian national team. But I think there was a couple holes with the roster as well. So I think there is an opportunity here to really, now that you got Teddy back, you can really build around him. Everyone knows what he can do.
Yeah.
Everyone knows what the city does and how they embrace the basketball team here now, obviously. So people are going to be hitting up Teddy on Instagram. People are going to be, reaching out to Mike Taylor as opposed to Mike Taylor having to reach out to
Yes.
them and their agents. So they have a much bigger talent pool to go off of this year. So it's going to be really exciting to see how they capitalize on that and which guys they bring in. But obviously, starting off with Teddy Buckets is a pretty damn good start.
Yeah, there's something to sell. You know what you're getting from Teddy this year, and getting that big free agent out of the way. This still is a cap league, right? And Teddy's a max money kind of guy. So being able to sign him early kind of gives you a good idea of where to, put the rest of your money in terms of who you're bringing back. I fully expect Chad Posthumous to be back this year. I know he's got some FIBA 3-on-3 commitments, especially if he qualifies for the Olympics. But I know the plan is that he wants to be back and the team wants him back. And they've been pushing him on social media, things like that as well. Glenn Yang, still a good possibility that he's back. I know Mike Taylor puts a lot of emphasis on the Canadian players because they have to be on the court. You have to get the best talent. Another big thing too, March 1st is when that protected list, goes to the wayside and anybody can sign anywhere. So I think it's going to get pretty interesting after March 1st to see what kind of veterans are going to be coming in and who's going to be leaving other clubs to come here to Winnipeg based on what you just said, right? The excitement of Winnipeg and kind of now that there's something to sell, knowing what the atmosphere is like and the fan base, things like that, the organization. So it's going to be very interesting as we move towards March 1st for sure. And I'm sure there's going to be more signings along the way. But you know what? Let's not hold up anymore, Taylor. Let's get to these interviews. We're going to start with Teddy Allen first, and then we'll move in to Mike Taylor and get his insights on the signing. So let's start off with the reigning CEBL MVP, the star of the Sea Bears, returning Teddy Allen. First off, Teddy, thanks for joining us, but how does it feel to get this out of the way and get this signing to come for year 2 in Winnipeg?
Yeah, for sure. Appreciate you guys having me on. Feels good, I was pretty confident about coming back pretty much ever since the summer, but it feels good to just have it out the way and have the deal done and just get to move forward and know that I'll be there this summer.
You are the first guy to re-sign with the Sea Bears, the only guy officially a Winnipeg Sea Bear for the 2024 season. Why get to this right away, Teddy? Why not wait a bit? Why not see, okay, who else is going to be there in Winnipeg this summer?
I mean, I think personally because it's it starts with me, and I say that humbly, but that's what Mike T had voiced to me throughout the off season and pretty much right after the season last year that he wanted to bring me back and continue to build what we had built. So I feel like it's just good to get it out the way and lock me in so we can continue to build the roster.
Teddy, what's that relationship like with Mike? I know you guys have gotten pretty tight through the process last year. What is it about, Mike as a coach maybe that wanted you to come back to play for him? Obviously you want to be here and play for the city, and you've talked about how fun it was to play here. But what is it about Mike as a coach that you find your attachment with?
I just think with Mike T, it's like from the start he had that belief in me, and I mean a lot of coaches have pretty much every coach I played for like believed in me as a player and pretty much gave me a green light. But I feel like with Mike T, it's different. Like he really believes in me to the point of he wants to build around me and give me I feel like the best role I could be in is when a coach or a team believes in me and wants me to be a leader, because I just feel like the qualities that I have help I thrive in those situations. And not often have I been tasked with like really being like the leader of a team, although I may lead the team, if you know what I'm saying. So I think that it really it kind of like opened me up in a way of like learning more about myself and what I could do besides just score, and besides just play and play defense, get steals, rebound, besides the thing that just make a good player a good player. Like the great players are leaders, and I feel like with Mike T, he really kind of brought me in and gave me that opportunity and was like, hey, we're going to build this around you and we're going to go as far as you take us. And I feel like that's what really having that trust from a coach, because you don't always get that. Like you might get them saying things like that when they're recruiting you, but when you come, it might be different, or it might look different. But with Mike T, the cards have always been on the table, and he's always held up his end of what he said, and I feel like I held up my end. So it's just been a great partnership.
So you're playing with the Leicester Riders, British Basketball League. And one of the things I got a kick out of, Teddy, I saw on your Instagram, you know, when you first got there, or at least a couple weeks after, you're like, man, like, where is the sun around here? So now that you've been there a little longer, have you finally gotten some sun, or has it been just cloud and rain this whole time over there?
I mean, the sun is actually like kind of out today. Like it's like a cloudy, overcast day, but you can see like the sun poking through. But nah, it'd be clouds every day out here. Like it's crazy. I mean I'm used to it now, I guess. But at first I was like, dang, like does the sun ever shine out here? And so it's not really what I'm used to, because even when I was going in college in the Midwest, like in the places where it snows, like in Nebraska, Kansas, like it's still like you'll still see the sun all the time. Like it'll just be cold. But yeah, I mean it's not too bad, I guess. Like I'm getting used to it.
Teddy, this season, in the BBL rather, you kind of came out firing when you joined the team in December. But taking into account the experience in the summer, it's not an easy turnaround to go from a summer league to a winter league. Minus, granted, you had the fact of a few months rest before you kind of got in. But with everything you said about the experience here in Winnipeg, how do you think you grew as a player that you're seeing in practice now as you play in England? Like, is there anything that you've seen in your game improve, whether it be through the confidence level, your abilities from playing here in Winnipeg to now playing in a full winter season in England?
I mean, I think just like with Winnipeg, it's just like I said, it kind of just showed me like more of what I'm capable of, and like how I can affect a team beyond just like playing like between the lines, like from a leadership standpoint. And I just feel like it gave me more experience, like just doing what I do, like honing my craft, and just obviously like I've always been a confident player, but coming from a situation, you come off an MVP, like you kind of just feel like you could take over anywhere you go. So I feel like it just built my own confidence a little more, and it made me like believe in myself more as a leader as well.
Teddy, what was the process like after the CEBL season? Like you said, you lead this first year team, you win MVP, and what was just kind of the process of you finding the right fit, finding the right team, finding the right country to play in afterwards?
Yeah, it was kind of a tough process. I kind of had a few um deals that I would have liked to take that kind of like fell through, and I don't know what really like kind of went on with that, because I'm not an agent, I'm a player. So it kind of was a little disappointing at first. I was feeling like I was going to have certain opportunities that either just didn't come to fruition, or I wasn't with the right representation. And so it's kind of disappointing at first, but I just tried to stay working, stay in the gym. And so it seemed like it was kind of lengthy, honestly. Like it was nice at first, like you said, coming off the summer, have a little month and a half. But after a while, I was kind of like, dang, I'm ready to play. I want to go play. And luckily, Mike T actually arranged a new agent for me, and her name's Stacy Leewood. She's from Canada actually, and she got me on here and hit the ground running. So thankful for that. Thankful for them, for sure.
So now you look at that, with some of the changes made, you go to the BBN or BNXT league for a little bit, short stint before you find yourself in the BBL, new agent, everything coming off the MVP. Do you feel now that you're in a good place, professionally, in the sense that, you kind of got that validation through winning the MVP in the CEBL? You're having a great season in Britain right now. So do you feel now you're in that good spot that things have kind of settled and you're able just to focus on basketball?
I mean, honestly, like I'm probably never gonna feel like I'm in a good spot again, because I've learned through my what is this, my third year pro, or second year, whatever it is. I've learned that you're not like you might not get what you think you're gonna get, and like how good you play sometimes doesn't even matter. Like there's a lot more to it than just, oh, I go here and I produce. Because if it was about production, like where would I be? You know what I'm saying? Like you can look at every level of my career and say, oh, why isn't he here? Why isn't he there? So I feel like for me, it's just kind of just worrying about controlling what I can control. Like it might sound like a bad, like a down comment for me to say I'll never like feel like safe again, but it's really more just me taking the mentality of I'm gonna just control what I can control and just hoop wherever I go and pray to God and hope that, whatever I want or whatever is needed for me comes, because if it was about production, like I said, where would I be? So just pretty much that.
Teddy, we saw when this league first started a couple of years ago with a guy like Xavier Moon. Like, he was the face of this league, and he wins MVP, a couple times before he gets that NBA call, before he gets that NBA contract. Is that something you've kind of kept in mind? I'm sure after this past year, you thought, like, did you think you're going to get that NBA call, the NBA contract, or now is it like, okay, well, we saw what happened with a guy like Xavier Moon. Maybe that'll be a similar story for me, or just where's your kind of head at with NBA opportunities right now?
Yeah, I always think that's on the table. Especially definitely coming off of the summer. Like, I thought I would have those type of opportunities, and like I said, you never know. Like, it just depends on like your representation or things like that. So yeah, I feel like it's definitely what kind of like what I was just saying. Like, I'm just gonna continue to do what I do and put my best foot forward wherever I go, and God willing, those opportunities will come, and I'll be ready for them.
And, like, taking the basketball out of, where you are right now, like, you look at the opportunities that you've had, I don't know, that you probably didn't see coming, right? Like, you go through the college ranks, you have your stardom there, in the NCAA, but then you find yourself, playing in Canada and Winnipeg, and now
Mm.
you're out, playing in the BBL. I mean, have you had a chance to kind of just take in kind of the opportunities? Are you having fun outside of basketball, just kind of getting the opportunity to travel around and, live in these different places?
I mean, for me, it's kind of like business, Like, I'm not super like big about like, oh, I want to go here, I want to go there. Like, I kind of like, I'm a hooper, Like, I just want to go hoop wherever it takes me, and obviously you have your fun, you check out the city, um, find new things, new foods, whatever, try some stuff. But for me, it's kind of just about the business and just continuing building my portfolio for hoop. So just trying to stay focused on that, and also like in some of these different countries, like, and a lot of guys who play overseas can attest to this. Like, it's it's harder to keep like your routine or maybe your treatment and things like that. So some of the time outside of basketball is dedicated to like keeping your body right or getting treatment or finding where you can get extra work in so you can continue to build your game.
Teddy, EJ Anasike, Jelani Watson Gale, both playing in the BNXT League. That season runs until June, or into June, sorry. And speaking with Mike Taylor and whatnot, sounds like there's there's a fair chance that they might not be back this summer in Winnipeg, or these guys might want to get some rest, and so they might choose not to be back in Winnipeg this summer. How concerning is that to you? That two of your best teammates that you had last year, two of the most important players on the team from last year, won't be there in Winnipeg this year.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they're both great players. We could use them for sure. I know they're both having good seasons in Belgium, but that's just part of it. That's part of basketball. That's part of overseas. Some guys might want to get rest or be with their families more, or just take kind of have a real summer as opposed to coming to play. But I know Mike T's been in contact with those guys, so I'm sure like if if they if they want to be back or can be back, they will be. So just hope they do what's best for them. But obviously, we want them back for sure.
I know you're kind of caught in like between two teams right now because you're still playing with the Riders, and then the Sea Bears stuff happens. In the British League, I know the finals are pretty close to the start. I think it's May 19th is the final day for the finals in the BBL, with the first game, I believe, the 22nd for the Sea Bears. So in terms of for you, how difficult is that turnaround going to be, going right off the end of a season and coming in here? Like, what do you expect is going to be the biggest challenge to start off in the CEBL, coming off, especially if you go on a deep run with the Riders?
Um, obviously just maybe like a little fatigue, but I mean, I feel like I should be good. Like you said, I had a couple of months to recover before I came out here, and I just feel like that I'll be ready to go. We come in and we got training camp and kind of build it up slow in Winnipeg. Um, I think more so than other teams in the CEBL, like we have a program going on like before the actual season starts, whether it be like, a week and a half, 2 weeks. But I've already been in contact with Mike T. Like we're gonna play it by ear, like based off how it goes, and like we're gonna work me in like the best way possible. But I'll be ready to go for sure.
Off the court, Teddy, what's been the best part of living over there? Any kind of new experiences, food, or any kind of cool sightseeing you've been able to do? I know you're more focused on the business, on the basketball side, but off of that, what's it been like living over there?
Man, it's kind of boring. Not gonna lie, just be chilling. Like, like no offense to Lester, love Lester, but just kind of. I mean, in Lester's defense, like I haven't been like out here looking for this and that to do. There's some nice cities around here like Birmingham, Newcastle, London's like 2 hours away. I've seen some nice like sites, things like that. But mostly I'm just kind of in the gym and just watching movies, stuff like that. Honestly.
What's been the biggest difference jumping from the CEBL to the BBL, and how much fun are you having out there?
The biggest difference. I think the game is a little more. I think the players and the game's like a little faster in CEBL. With that being said, I think there's definitely a lot of talent in this league, but it's more like slowed down, like running sets a lot, stuff like that. Like I feel like it's like harder to score like 30 over here than it would be like in the CEBL, just based off the style of play. And yeah, so that's probably the biggest difference. Just like the structure as far as like, oh, okay, teams are like running a lot of sets. The game might be slowed down a little bit. Kind of more like a Europe type vibe, you know what I mean?
Okay. Do you miss the target score?
The target score is cool for sure. Let's just talk about that. Yeah, I mean, I'm used to playing like regular basketball, but the target score is cool for sure. Like that would be fun to get back to. It's real competitive for sure. I like that.
So you're leading the league in All-Star voting. I was reading. Is there an All-Star game over there, or how's that work exactly?
Yeah, they do have an All-Star game. It's I think it's actually in like a week or two. But yeah, I heard that I was leading in that too. We'll see if I make it down there for that. We'll see. Might need that rest. We'll see.
Well, Teddy, I know you have a game later today, so we really appreciate you taking the time. Congratulations on your success out there. Enjoy the rest of the season out there. And congrats on the signing here. We're looking forward to having you back in just a few months, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. Appreciate you guys. I'll see y'all soon.
Sea Bears GM and head coach Mike Taylor. It's a pleasure to have you on today because we're talking about some big news. I mean, Teddy Allen being re-signed, that was the biggest question coming into free agency. So I'll start with the easy question. How does it feel to have Teddy locked up for 2024?
Well, Joey, thank you for having me. We're really excited about it. Teddy was such a big part of the whole first season. His performance on the court, becoming a fan favorite, record-setting performances, league MVP. I just think, building the roster for year two just started with Teddy. And we're so fortunate that Teddy had such a great experience in Winnipeg on and off the floor. Loved it. And we're really proud that he'll continue to write his story with us with the Sea Bears.
And from a basketball perspective, I mean, now that you have him signed up so early, how do you kind of approach free agency from here, knowing that you have your star in place with, some background with him having coached him last year?
Well, again, we loved our team last year. The team played really hard and played together. And I think, the city was proud of the team. But again, you're always trying to get better. We don't want to sit back and feel good about ourselves. We want to continue to improve. We feel like that happens in several ways. We want to try to improve, certain Canadian roster spots. We want to try to improve certain import roster spots. And I think the big thing is we also want to maintain some consistency. So balancing all of those things is a challenge. But again, when you have a player that made the impact that Teddy made last year, and he wants to come back, he's motivated to come back, he's really looking forward to it, then I think that's just a great starting point. So we'll continue to try to improve our team, get the pieces that fit correctly together, both improving the Canadian players, both improving the import players. And at the end, we want to build a team that plays really hard, that competes, gives us a chance at that championship, and that the city of Winnipeg can be really proud of.
How hard is that consistency, Mike? When you look at these contracts are 1 year long, it's a summer league. Even last year, talking to certain players around the league, the fatigue can be a factor if you're coming off a full season in Europe or wherever you're playing. So how difficult is it from a GM standpoint to maintain any sort of consistency in this league?
Well, it's hard. I think you have to try to be flexible. You have to try to be open. You can try to count on certain people, but their situations may change. Whether it's a player that's played a full season and wants to rest, a player that's played a full season and then instead of playing for CEBL, they'll go for the NBA Summer League or play for a national team. You've got private things. Maybe somebody's getting married or someone in their family has a significant personal event. So there's a lot of different things that can happen. I think it's a specific player that wants to play in the CEBL. They're motivated. They love the game, and they're trying to improve their career, taking it step by step. So the challenge for building a roster is finding and identifying the guys who really want to be a part of it. And then the second part is the consistency. We've been fortunate in Winnipeg. You've got a guy right here, Chad Posthumus, who is a hometown guy who has helped our team so much on and off the court. And then on the other level, at the college level, Simon Hildebrand, who's been so fantastic for the University of Winnipeg, U Sport Player of the Year. And I mean, we have to really appreciate and be thankful for these guys that are such great representatives of our organization. So I think it just connects the city with the team, and they really add that consistency. So that's a great starting point. Bringing Teddy back is a great starting point. And we feel like, hey, this is a place that we can build and be better.
It's been great to see, being in most of the games here in Winnipeg from the Canada West level, seeing even some of the guys that didn't suit up for the Sea Bears, but, seeing the excitement from fans. You see Sea Bears hats and shirts in the stands. Chad's been out to a few games as well. So there's clearly an excitement there with the local guys for sure. Circling back to Teddy, though, Mike, there seems that you guys have really formed a strong bond, as a coach and player. What's it been like, I guess, that relationship with Teddy, and what do you think's allowed to foster that sense of trust and his want to come back and play for you?
Well, the first thing was, Teddy went to Scarborough, his first experience in the CEBL, and played a role. And he believed in himself, like, I can be one of the best players in the league. And as we built our team last summer, it's like, okay, we have the hometown connection with certain guys. We want some experience from players that have played and won championships in the league. But we need that difference maker. We need that star quality player. Teddy as a big scoring guard, I think that type of player does really well in the CEBL. So there were a lot of reasons to think that, hey, Teddy could be our guy. And then it's about a commitment. We committed ourselves to Teddy. And I think in his past, several coaches maybe have treated him in different ways and tried to approach him in different ways. And I'm a person that's very positive. I'm a person that tries to empower players. I try to create a self-fulfilling prophecy where the players know the coach and the coaching staff believe in them. And I think Teddy felt that and welcomed it, and he was very receptive right from the beginning. When he was working his way into shape and it took him a little while to get his feet under him, we were really consistent. Teddy, you're our guy. Teddy, you're the leader of this team. Teddy, we're going to go through you. And we created that structure on and off the court immediately. And I think this is where the trust comes in. So, he responded and paid us back with an unbelievable season. While he was going through his difficult time after the season, we were right there. I was constantly in contact with him, trying to help him, trying to connect him with the right people. And we finally got him in a great place. And now, he goes to Leicester, England, and he helps turn their team around. He's player of the month in December, his first month there. Now he's leading the entire league in all-star votes. So he's just doing what Teddy Buckets does. But all along, he has not forgotten about the way we manage things in Winnipeg, the way we handle things in Winnipeg, and who has been there to help him recently. And it's not just the coach. It's David Asper. It's Jason Smith. It's the whole organization that is really saying, hey, this is our guy. And we love it when he's got his family quote, So we're really proud of Teddy. And again, I think that trust is built over, the way we've approached him, the way he's paid us back, and now we're in a great place going into season 2.
And I'll make this next one a 2-part question, but now that you have Teddy locked in, what are the next priorities for the team? You touched on it a little bit in terms of, the overall goal, but what are some of the things that you want to address as a GM? And having your top player, with a cap in this league as well, having one of your guys who I'd imagine would be towards the max for your signings, how does it help now having him locked in early to attack that free agency and get those next priorities addressed?
Well, having Teddy locked in helps us manage our salary cap better and be more efficient with our money because there is a significant amount of it towards him. The second thing is it allows us to build our roster, I think, a little bit more intelligently because now we're looking for pieces that complement him, that know how to play with him, and that can kind of bring the best out of him. So we've kind of, in the players that we've been dealing with, we've addressed those issues. I feel really good about where we are. Again, the avenues we're looking at has been always fill your Canadian spots first and piece in the needs with the imports around it. Teddy's unique because he's our MVP. He's our guy. So get him early. Now we've got 2 import spots to work with, but we're still trying to fill these quality Canadian spots. We've got several guys protected that we're really looking at. And then we've also got some guys from around the league that we feel could come in and really help. So I think everything's in a very good place right here for the first week of free agency. I like where we are, and we've just got to keep hustling to, build the best team we can for the summer.
Perfect segue there. Looking at the changes now that you have 1 year under your belt, the organization as a whole, 1 year of a sample to kind of sell. And now that you're in the role as a full-time during the off-season GM and head coach, how has the recruiting changed this year?
Well, the first thing is last year, as we talked to different players around the league who I had personal relationship with, and they knew, hey, I like Mike as a coach. I trust Mike as a coach. I would explain to them how it would be in Winnipeg. And they would be like, Mike, that sounds great, but show me. Now we've got all kinds of video footage. We've got all kinds of, we've got a recruiting video we put together. We've got ways to put that information right in front of them. Some of these players on the court, they could turn to our bench during the games and they'd be like, man, it's like an NBA game in here. So I think word got around the league that Winnipeg was a great place to play. Word got around the league that David Asper is really committed to a great player experience. Our organization is doing everything we possibly can to give the resources to players to develop, to improve, to grow, to have a great experience playing in Winnipeg. And I think what's changed is now players believe it. Players have seen it. And they're like, you know what? I would love to play in Winnipeg. I would love to be there and be a part of it. Something special's happening. No matter what is said and no matter what our recruiting sales pitch is, 10,000 fans were in the Canada Life Center. 7,000 fans consistently. Like, the reception from the city was something special, and that sells itself. So, for us, in terms of trying to build a team, there's a lot of things to work with for us. I think there's a lot of positive feeling from the players' experience last year, and then just the simple example of the game day atmosphere in the arena. It was a lot of fun for people, big crowds. And again, that's a great thing for players. They want to be a part of a team like that. And I feel like Winnipeg raised the bar last year, and now we're not trying to relax and sit back. We want to keep growing, improving, and getting better.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people are excited just around town, even seeing the Sea Bears merchandise, hats, T-shirts, and that. I think it really did set a standard and maybe a tone last year, and I know there's a lot of excitement. This announcement being a big one, too. Everybody was wondering, is Teddy coming back? And I think there's going to be a lot of happy fans out there today. And I'll finish with this. The nucleus of the team now, as you kind of look forward, how close do you think you're going to be in terms of where you're at with recruiting right now, in terms of getting those big signings? And how much will it change after March 1st when the protected list is then dissolved with players that may have not signed with the teams that haven't protected currently?
Those are good questions. And we'll see how everything develops. I think, I feel good about where we are in some of these recruiting battles with other teams. And, going for key players in the league. So I hope that there's some really more exciting announcements that can get people's imagination going. Like, oh man, I liked his game. How does he play with Teddy? Excuse me. But I also feel like, putting together the roster, we've got to do it step by step. And I think that we want to try to do it intelligently, like we did last year, where we really were efficient using the salary cap. We had extra bonus money at the end of the season that went back to the players. I feel like if we can just go through things methodically with a well thought out plan and try to have options, like there's going to be some recruiting battles that we win. There's going to be some that we don't win. And, we've got to make sure we're ready with some good plan Bs in those cases. But I feel like overall it's going to be, we'll have every opportunity to put a really good team together. I think there's the excitement because people know Teddy and what he meant to our team last year. There's the potential for guys like Chad and Simon and local guys to be involved once again. And I feel like we're really moving in a good direction in a lot of these areas with these players. But it's unpredictable. We don't know how it's going to play out, and that's exciting. But I also feel like we're doing all the little things we can to be involved with the right players for Winnipeg. And, I think, like I said, at the end of end of all this, when people see the training camp roster, I want them to be like, man, I like this team. I like these guys. I want to go see them play. And, I'm excited about what the second season of Winnipeg Sea Bears basketball could be.
Well, I think everybody's excited. The CEBL kind of feels around the corner now with free agency and now some signings being announced. So just a few weeks from here, till you're here, I should say. But thanks for coming on the podcast. We've been wanting to have you on Target Score Weekly for a while. We hope to have you on again a little closer to the season, but it's been an absolute pleasure having you here on the podcast, Mike.
Joey, I appreciate it. And, keep up the great coverage for the league and the great coverage for basketball in Winnipeg. You're doing a great job. And, I'm happy to join anytime. So thank you.
Couple of great interviews there. Clearly some excitement, Taylor, with Teddy Allen being back.
Allen too.
Taylor Allen's excited too. Everybody's excited. And of course, you weren't there for the Mike Taylor interview because you are out covering the very important Viterra Championships here in Manitoba, the men's curling provincial championship, for a trip to the Briar. So we thank you for bringing in your extra time and putting in the extra work for this podcast for sure. But, going into this season, you can tell there's a lot of excitement. And, I think Teddy coming back, and you can tell in the voice of Mike Taylor, having your core guy there, the guy that kind of steers the ship is going to be make it a lot easier on him to kind of fill out the rest of the pieces needed for this team.
Yeah, and it's interesting, right? Like it's such a short season, and the off season is so short as well. Because really nothing happened these past couple of months, right?
Yeah.
There wasn't a whole lot to talk about on Target Score Weekly. But now, like you said earlier, March 1st and March 2nd, I believe, is when free agency kicks off. We're in the period right now where you can sign guys off of your protected list. So things are really going to ramp up in the next couple of weeks here. It's going to be really interesting to see. And we have some awesome guests, already booked coming down the pipe here. So that's going to be great too. So looking forward to it, man. Looking forward to season 2 of Sea Bears basketball. Looking forward to season 2 of Target Score. And great episode to start things off with the head coach himself and the face of the team himself and Teddy Allen. So good stuff.
Yeah, getting some big news to start off was always good to hear. And as we keep mentioning, people, that was the biggest question. It's answered. He's back. Now what's the team going to look like? They had a disappointing playoff appearance. I know they want to get back and, they think they're good enough to win a championship. And they've got, an organization that's hungry for one, and having the big guy back's a big one. But this is going to be a fun season too, Taylor. We've been itching to get back. We're finally here. We've got some big guests lined up as we get closer and closer to training camp. So, keep an eye on our social medias. Mine is at Joey Slattery TV. Taylor is at Taylor Allen 31. We're going to be pumping out, all the warnings of the episodes that are coming out. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't already. Of course, you can subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. For those that you have, we really appreciate your support. And there's been a lot of interaction throughout the off season, asking about the podcast and just general Sea Bears questions. I love it. Keep it coming. Tell everybody about the podcast. This is your premier source for Sea Bears content and CEBL content. So give us a subscribe, give us a like, tell everybody about it. But most of all, just thank you for tuning in. We appreciate it. We have a lot of exciting things coming down the pipe. That'll be coming next week. You could expect people like maybe the commissioner of the CEBL, possibly the Tracksuit Brothers, the iconic fans of the CEBL that have made their statement last season. Sure, they'll be coming back with the same seats. We're going to find out, get the insider fan information for you. But no, I'm really looking forward to it.
No, absolutely. But I got to take off. Got to go to Stonewall. 1 second you're talking to the CEBL MVP, and the next year in Stonewall talking to some guy from Dauphin, Manitoba.
Or Reed Carruthers, hey.
Reed Carruthers.
You got some legends out there too, right? You got some
big names out there as well. So yeah, there you go. It's a typical day in my life. But yeah, man, happy to get back doing this. It's been a blast. And again, like I said, looking forward to year 2. So yeah, we'll be back soon for sure.
All right, thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll see you soon. Taylor, always a pleasure, my friend. Thank you for listening to the Target Score Weekly podcast. To stay up to date with Winnipeg Sea Bears and CEBL news, as well as future episode releases, follow Joey and Taylor on Twitter and Instagram at TaylorAllen31 and at Joey Slattery TV. And wherever you're getting the podcast, be sure to subscribe to never miss an episode.